January 4th, 2026. Mikaela Shiffrin's season pivoted in exactly 52 seconds. She arrived in Kranjska Gora untouchable in the slalom. 5 starts. 5 wins. The Queen of the Hill was executing the plan perfectly, erasing doubt, killing the drama, making everyone else look like they were racing for second place. Then Camille Rast kicked out of the gate. By the time Rast triggered the final interval, the script had flipped. Those green light splits weren't chasing Mikaela anymore. They were hunting her down. First by a few hundredths, then a tenth, then the gap blew wide open. When she crossed the line, Shiffrin was in the red by 14 hundredths of a second. Relegated to second place, the perfect season vaporized. The streak was dead. And the woman who built a dynasty on precision suddenly looked human. That's the news update. That's what the scoreboard tells you. Mikaela wasn't ready. But here is the story the headlines miss. This isn't just a loss. This is the worst possible defeat at the absolute worst moment for an athlete like her. Because this isn't a November warm-up. We aren't 2 years out. We are weeks away from the Olympic Games in Italy. Weeks from Milano Cortina, 2026. Weeks from the very mountains where the snow has already tried to break her once. And right on the doorstep, a 26-year-old Swiss contender walks into Shiffrin's house and takes her down on back-to-back days. Giant slalom Saturday. Slalom Sunday. A double tap that doesn't just put Rast on the map. It puts her right on Shiffrin's heels with all the momentum in the world. To the casual fan, it's a fun upset for the highlight reels. For Mikaela Shiffrin, this cuts deep, because her superpower has never been just raw talent. It's control. For over a decade, she has taken the most volatile sport on earth and turned it into something predictable. Surgical turns, flawless lines, clean wins. Over 100 World Cup victories, and a resume where her bad days are still gold medals for anyone else. You don't get there by winging it. You do it by constructing a fortress where nothing surprises you, where every variable is locked down and the race is won before you even buckle your boots. But that fortress only holds as long as the narrative obeys you. In Slovenia, the narrative went rogue. 1 minute she's in the leader's chair, helmet off, studying a run that should have been enough. The next, the crowd roars for someone else. The numbers turn red. The aura shatters. And she didn't just get beat. She got beat by a rival skiing with the kind of dangerous freedom you only have when you have nothing to lose. A rival who just strung together the weekend of her life while wearing a black armband, racing with a heavy heart and a higher purpose. A rival who suddenly isn't just next up, she's the one. The one seeing green lights. The one pulling the Olympic spotlight in her direction. It's the first real signal all winter that Mikaela isn't in total command, that the mountain, the field, and the moment might have other plans. And the timing is brutal because Mikaela's grip on control has already been tested in ways the cameras don't show. Olympic nightmares, crashes on Italian ice, a body battered by impact, and a fiancé who nearly saw his career end on the exact same jagged peaks she's about to face. We need to unpack all of that. Because if you want to understand why a silver medal in Slovenia hurts more than a gold anywhere else, you have to see the full picture. You need to see how Mikaela Shiffrin engineered a life around mastering chaos, and what happens when chaos finally punches back right before the main event. To understand that, we have to rewind. Before Kranjska Gora, before Rast. Back to when control wasn't cracking, it was her lifeline. Because for most of her career, that's what she looked like to us. Unbreakable. Strip away the slow-motion edits and the sponsor logos, and you're left with a kid who decided early on that talent was a trap. She didn't just want to be fast, she wanted to dictate every single thing that could go wrong. 0 dark 30 wake-ups, obsessive drills, film study that would rival an NFL war room. While other racers ran on adrenaline and guts, Mikaela ran on repetition. Same angle, same pressure, same discipline. Over and over until the chaos surrendered. That is how you stack 100+ wins in a game decided by blinking. That is how you take slalom, the wildest ride on 2 skis, and turn it into a solved puzzle. You watch her in her prime, and it doesn't look like competition. It looks like the mountain is asking for permission. But there is a dark side to that level of control. When you are wired that tight, when your identity is built on being the one who never misses a mistake, it doesn't just sting. It destroys you. The world saw those cracks in Beijing. She flew into those 2022 games as the undeniable face of the sport. The hardware was on the table, the lenses were zoomed in, and the pressure was suffocating. Then came the unthinkable 3 DNFs in her signature events. 0 individual medals. Just endless footage of Mikaela slumped in the snow, staring into the void, trying to compute the disaster. For most athletes, it's an off day. For her, it became a worldwide public autopsy. Every carved turn, every split-second choice was slowed down and dissected, and the cracks were visible. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was total shock. This isn't supposed to happen to the woman who scripts every outcome. Not on the world stage. Not like that. Critics called it a choke. But if you know her wiring, you saw something deeper. It was the first fracture in the invincible armor she had built around herself. The narrative that said, if I prep perfectly, the win follows. But the mountain. The mountain doesn't give a damn about your narrative. Fast forward, and the sport starts exacting a physical toll too. Cortina, a high-speed wreck, slams her into the safety nets on Italian ice, the exact same venue hosting the women's races for the Milano Cortina Games. Medevac chopper. Genuine terror. Not the when can I ski again kind, but the is my leg still attached? Will I walk again's kind? Then Killington. A violent ragdoll toss into the fencing. Serious tissue damage. A brutal reminder that you can't blueprint a sheet of ice at 70 miles per hour. Every comeback proves her grit, sure. But the vibe shifts. Once you've tasted that snow and questioned your identity without the gold, you can't unfeel that. It rides with you. Even during the wins. Especially during the streaks. That is the version of Mikaela Shiffrin we see this season. Still the GOAT, still a machine, but operating with ghosts in the machinery. That is why the upset in Slovenia wasn't just a surprise. It strikes the exposed nerve of her entire career. With the Olympics looming and Cortina lurking in the shadows, the pressure is dialed up to 11. Because Mikaela isn't just battling gates and clock times anymore. She is racing against the nagging fear that when the chips are down, her trademark control might fail her. But here is the plot twist most casual fans miss. This season isn't just about Mikaela's demons. It is about a battle she has zero power to fix. While she fights to steady her ship, the love of her life is fighting a war that makes podium streaks look trivial. Aleksander Kilde isn't just eye candy in a heartfelt NBC graphic. He is a titan of the sport, an overall World Cup champion. A guy who lives on the razor's edge where a single slip at 80 miles an hour doesn't just end your day, it can end your life. January 2024. Wengen. Kilde finds that limit. A catastrophic crash. Fence's blood ice body folded into the nets at terminal velocity. By the time the choppers and medics are done, nobody is talking about race calendars. We are talking surgeries, severed nerves, and months of agony just to walk, let alone charge down a mountain. And Mikaela. She isn't watching from a VIP box, she is in the trenches. Hospital vigils, unknown timelines, the silent dread that cameras don't capture. The what if this never gets better factor. If control is your drug, nothing breaks you faster than watching your partner get chewed up by the very beast you are trying to tame. Cut to now. He is clawing his way back, desperate to qualify for Norway before the Olympic buzzer sounds. She is hunting redemption at those same games. 2 legends, 1 roof, and a relentless countdown clock. So when Mikaela locks into her bindings this winter, it's not just about grabbing another crystal globe. She is carrying the weight of Beijing. She is carrying the trauma of that Italian slope. She is carrying the knowledge that every run is a gamble, a debt Kilde has already paid in full. And just when it seems she has compartmentalized the fear, and gone full machine mode, sitting 5 for 5 in slalom and dominating the standings. The ski gods send a memo: you don't control this script. Enter Camille Rast. Not a footnote, not a rookie, but the spoiler who walks into the Kranjska Gora weekend and drops a bomb at Mikaela's feet. Giant slalom victory Saturday, slalom victory Sunday. While Mikaela is supposed to be untouchable, Rast is the one lighting up the sector times green. Attacking with the reckless abandon you only get when you aren't carrying the weight of the entire sport on your shoulders. Freeze the frame on this disparity. On one side, you have Mikaela, the most dissected skier on the planet, shouldering a decade of expectations and scar tissue. Opposite her stands Rast, racing with a black armband and her own private grief, yet moving with the loose momentum of an underdog who knows if she crashes and burns, no one is torching her legacy on Twitter. One woman is fighting to defend a dynasty. The other is out there trying to build one. Down in Slovenia, the script flipped. For the first time in ages, Mikaela wasn't the one dictating the energy of the day. She was forced to react to someone else's line, someone else's gamble. And that is where the pressure truly changes hands. Because with the Milano Cortina games barreling down, she isn't just defending the throne anymore. She is trying to hold her ground while the sport around her descends into noise, mess, and unpredictability. You have partners rehabbing from nightmare injuries, rivals laying down flawless runs, and the world watching to see if the queen finally bleeds. It is no longer about handling nerves. It is about what happens when the chaos finally exceeds one person's ability to control it. This is where we leave the ski slopes behind and enter something far more profound. Because all this turbulence is heading for a violent collision at one specific coordinate, Cortina. The very peaks that claimed her knee. The same Italian soil where she was airlifted out staring at the clouds instead of the finish line. The same Olympic rings that witnessed her public unraveling in Beijing. Different year, fresh powder, but that same crushing gravity. Every athlete has a haunted house. For an NBA vet, it is the arena where they choked in Game 7. For a quarterback, it is the turf where a pick 6 killed the season. You can swap jerseys, coaches, or teammates. But stepping back into that specific venue, that is never just another match. For Mikaela, Italy is that ghost town. Statistically, she owes us nothing. She's the winningest World Cup racer in history. She has rewritten the archives so many times they should just retire the pen permanently. Even if she never clips into bindings again, she walks away as the undisputed greatest of all time. But that is irrelevant right now. The real question is, how does she want the final chapter to read? Is she the titan who held the wheel steady, or the icon who watched the storm overtake her when the spotlight burned hottest? That is why Kranjska Gora was the turning point. Before that weekend, the road to the Olympics looked paved and predictable. Shiffrin on cruise control, racking up slalom victories like clockwork. Everyone else just racing for silver. The narrative was set in stone. We were counting her medals, not wondering if she could be touched. Camille Rast took a hammer to that glass house. With back-to-back wins, she proved the gate is wide open. Even with Mikaela at her peak, a younger, looser, hungrier rival can smash through. And she did it right when a superstar needs to feel invincible. That is not just an upset. That shifts the entire psychological landscape of the Winter Games. We are not heading for a coronation anymore. We are bracing for a collision. Mikaela returning to the mountains that broke her. A challenger riding a wave of momentum. Aleksander Kilde racing against time just to make the start list. The cameras are poised to see if the Beijing ghosts return or if a new version of her emerges. But here is the kicker: that defeat might be the biggest gift she could have received. Carrying a perfect record into the Olympics is a ticking time bomb. It makes you rigid. It makes you play defense. You start skiing not to lose, rather than attacking the hill to win. A season of easy wins is a trap because it lets you forget the mountain always has a vote. Kranjska Gora ripped that safety blanket away. It forced her to look the nightmare in the eye. I can be beaten. Right here. Right now. It flips the script from protect the streak to prove you can rise from the wreckage. That is a warrior's mindset. When she kicks out of that start gate in Cortina, she will be carrying a heavy load. The shadow of Beijing, the trauma of the crash. Kilde's scars, Rast's splits, and the cold hard fact that control is not guaranteed. But if she can carve through that fear, stare down the chaos and the doubt, and still lay down a run fueled by the pure love of the sport, then that loss in Slovenia won't mark the beginning of the end. It will be the plot twist that makes the finale legendary. Because changing everything really means this. Not that the queen has fallen for good, but for the first time in years, the ending is unwritten. And in a sport that dances on the razor's edge between glory and disaster, that suspense is exactly where Mikaela Shiffrin and the rest of us need to be. Keep your eyes glued to the screen, because this next clip is a total game changer.